So, did you guys see a pattern that most of the inspiring stories start with childhood? Everything happens in childhood, right? And then we pay the debts for it in adult life. Well, I'm also going to start with that, but I don't know how many of you would be able to relate to this or not. But my childhood was a very easy one, very easy. And it was easy because my parents and everyone, around me said, you just have to do one thing. You have to come first in everything that you do. And I was like, sure, that's okay. And what happened? I became very habitual to that. Sure, I had to work hard, but coming first in school is way easier than coming or achieving something when you grow up, right? It's way difficult. So, somewhere achieving became my identity, fortunately or unfortunately. I grew up, I did my engineering from Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, and right after that, my career started with Google, and then I was with Microsoft. Life was really great. Singapore is a great country, Google was great, Microsoft was great, and I felt that this is how exactly life is supposed to go. But when I was with both these companies, there was something in me, that achieving bug that said, no, yeah, this is not going to cut it. We have to do something different. And my strength all the while was creativity. So I left Microsoft. I did not tell it to my parents. And I started my first company, which was a digital agency. So a digital agency services company. And this was all in Singapore. And now suddenly, going from a stable monthly 5-figure salary, I started with $0, right? And there were, of course, expenses to pay because I was living by myself over there. So I told myself that, look, if it doesn't work for a year, I will leave it out, right? But there is another problem with patience. When you're so used to achieving what you want, you're not resilient towards failures. And when I went into entrepreneurship, every day was a failure, right? And I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to put boundaries. So when my first company started, I realized that with every one success, there was literally 99 failures that were happening. But I went on, and somewhere or the else, fortunately, within 2 years, we became a multi-million company. I had some 90 employees in Singapore, headquartered, and we were working with clients like Unilever, Marks and Spencer, not just in Singapore or Southeast Asia, everywhere, US, Europe, etc. Great story of success, right? But what happened behind the scenes? So one night, because I didn't know that something like your mind also exists, so here's a trigger warning for all of you if anyone goes through panic attacks or anxiety. One night, it was a Sunday morning, I still remember, and I was trying to go off to sleep after my work. And the very next day, I was supposed to interview Amir Khan for Secret Superstar. You all must have watched that movie. And he was coming to Singapore for the promotions, and I was supposed to interview him because ZTV was our client, ZTV Asia Pacific. So I tried to go off to sleep, and I realized that I'm unable to sleep, which had become quite usual. But I was not able to breathe. And my chest started paining. And when that happens, what is the first thing that comes to our mind? Heart attack? Yes? So I also thought the same. I was hyperventilating and I was rushed in the emergency to the hospital. Now here's the funny part. The hospital did all my ECGs, etc. And they said, oh, you're absolutely fine. We don't know what's happening. So they gave me a brown paper bag and they just told me breathe in, breathe out. They helped me to regulate my breath, and that's about it. This happened some 6 to 7 times, and I didn't know what was the answer to this. I couldn't even tell my parents because telling to parents meant that somewhere I'm accepting that I am failing. I failed to take care of myself, so I couldn't even tell it to them. But then it became so bad that I finally told them that, you know what, I have been going through something, it has not been diagnosed, but I just sit and sometimes these panic attacks come where I tremble, I don't breathe, I don't know what happens, they last for 5 to 6 minutes. And because of that, I have lost confidence because when I'm sitting in meetings, it's happening, and yet I have to be absolutely fine and happy outside. Surprisingly, they were very supportive. I started seeing a therapist and came to know that, you know, this is anxiety, it's happening because of burnout, stress, etc., etc. Fast forward, the first company got acquired in 2019. But once you become an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur. And our acquisition was very, very big. I got a very great exit. And I was told that, you know, why do you have to now continue being an entrepreneur? You know, live a great life. You know, you've gotten so much, just let it be. But childhood problem, you have to continue hustling because that's what you're used to, right? So I said no. For me, the next calling in my entrepreneurship was around mental health. And that's when MindPeer started in 2020. I came back to India and I said that I want to do it here because it's such a stigmatized topic. And to my surprise, when MindPeer started, what happened? It did not scale the way I wanted it to. And what was the problem? People shied away from accepting that they are going through something, right? And then somehow we raised our first round. So this company was investor funded. And last year we came on Shark Tank. And that was a defining moment. We got 4 sharks. First time on national TV, mental health was talked about. And you know what happened in those 5 to 6 minutes? We got some 3.5 crore people who poured in their messages. Our app crashed. And for the next 1 month, it was just people saying that, you know what, hey, I also go through it. I also have certain kind of relationship issues, trauma, parental pressure, anxiety, career issues, all of those things. And that's when we realized that the stigma is so large that, let's hypothetically say, right, that if you all know within that today you need help, be honest. How many of you will openly go for therapy? Be honest. How many of you will openly think of going to therapy? Very less, right? Very less. And that made me think that how do we make this more approachable? How do we make this easy? And that's when technology played its part. As of today, 1.5 years ago, we started working on a project called Cogni Art. So Cogni Art stands for cognitive plus art. And the idea here is that we have brought AI, clinical aspects, and the beauty of art together. And why did we do this? We realized that when we spoke to about 70,000 youth of India, 80% of them said that they are going through loneliness. They feel very lonely. 54% are going through attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And about 43% of them go through undiagnosed depression. So when we made this tool actually asks you some questions, and you don't have to talk, you don't have to say, you just have to draw. So if I say that, what was your happiest childhood moment? You just draw it. And what does the machine do? The machine is understanding your drawing patterns. The machine is understanding the color strokes that you've used, the time that you have spent, the focus, productivity, etc. that you have shown, and it starts to understand the condition of your mental health with, of course, a few other biomarker parameters that we take in the app through you. As of today, CogniArt is now being used by 23,000 plus people monthly. And it has impacted every month alongside with talk therapy or with certain diagnoses. It has impacted and improved the lives of about 2,300 people who have come back to us and said that we have gotten the job we wanted, we've been better in our relationship, we have gotten our confidence back, and things like that. With that, keeping it very, I just want to talk about 3 ways in which institutional changes are happening for the youth, by the youth, using technology. The very first one, I don't know how many of you have already started working or you might be still pursuing your studies. Do you know workplaces have significantly shifted? Because they are getting ready for the millennial and Gen Zs of this population. And why are there significant changes that are happening? Do you guys understand the theory of human motivation? So there is this person called Maslow, no more there. He had this theory of motivation which said that humans are motivated because of the needs that they want to fulfill, right? I don't know how many of you it's true, but my parents stayed in the same job for 35 years until their retirement. And they were not happy, you know. They would be like, this is going wrong, that is going wrong, but they stayed in it. And what was the reason? They were trying to get the first layer in Maslow's hierarchy, which is the physiological needs, fitted in. What are the physiological needs? As we say in Hindi, roti, kapda, makan. Right? You guys don't have to probably worry about that much. That do we have a house, like roof under our head? Do we have food to eat? All of those things. Now, when we go above the Maslow's hierarchy, there is security, there is social belongingness, and the biggest psychological need is self-actualization. What does it mean? It means that I want my skills, I want my total potential to be achieved. So today when you go to a workplace, would you expect that to happen? Would you all expect that your job is giving you a total satisfaction in terms of reaching your potential? Would you all agree to it? Yes? No? Yes? So, what is now happening in workplaces? When youth like you are going into the workplaces, you are telling them that I want to be respected, I want to be vulnerable, I want to be heard. Let me speak up in meetings. Give me a comfortable environment. Trust me when I'm asking you to work remotely. We are asking for all of these things. And how are the companies making a change? They are bringing psychological safety. They are bringing the principles of safe environment from a perspective of emotional well-being into picture. Because they know that they cannot have it any other way, because the majority of the demographics in the workforce is going to be all of you guys. And for self-actualization and for your needs to be fulfilled, this is going to be the motivation, besides, of course, the salary aspects of it, right? So nowadays, CHROs have become, or they have to become, really, really upskilled in terms of how technology platforms can help them understand that culture can be changed, ROI can be achieved, what can we give to the employees so that all of their needs are fulfilled, and we understand that it also brings cultural changes, right? So that's from a workplace perspective. The second thing I want to talk about is effective healthcare. So just few days back, there was a article that came in Forbes. Do you know US is the #1 country right now in terms of mental health issues? One in three people are going through mental illnesses, right? So the demand over there for therapy has increased and people are going for therapy. But you know what the results show? That the progress with therapy has been the lowest. So even if people are going to therapy, it's not helping. And what's the reason? The reason is that that therapy is not effective. And what is being speculated is that, of course, India is next because large population, a very large young population. And as of today, it's only the stigma that stops us. But you know what's becoming the largest problem? That today, when people are going for therapy, they are saying, I did not get the right therapist in one go. I had to switch to like 6, 7 therapists to probably arrive at the right one. This person didn't understand me. I had to repeat my stories. I did not get the benefit. And that's where innovation and technology is being used. How? Algorithms are being created where your behaviors can be understood, your personality needs can be understood, and you can be matched to the right therapist in one go, so that the entire mechanism can become effective for you. How many of you know that a low vitamin D puts you at 30 to 40% more prone to depression? How many of you actually know this? A low vitamin D and a low vitamin B12 puts you at 30 to 40% more depression symptoms. The second aspect of effective healthcare is platforms where your entire health parameters are being taken into consideration, both physical and mental, to tell you that how can you improve. A very quick story: 7 months ago, I went through alopecia. I mean, some of you could still see it probably. I got 2 patches and I absolutely went bald. And I didn't know why it happened. I went to the physician. They said, oh, it could be because of some gut health or etc. etc. Then I went to the derma. The derma took 2 months to tell me what was the issue. And apparently, I had gone through very severe chronic stress because of something that had went wrong in work, because of which my body reacted to that stress in the form of alopecia. It has taken now 7, 8 months to at least start seeing hair. And how? Taking care of my vitamin D, B12, and जैसे बोलते हैं कि stress मत लो. It's an on and off button. So now I'm trying not to get really stressed at work or stress myself out, and it has improved. And I mean, at Mindpulse, we have this app which helps you to track all of it, and my parameters have been improving. So I'm just telling you that effective healthcare is using integrated technologies like artificial intelligence to scan and understand the working of your bodies completely. And the third and a very quick one are the efficiencies in healthcare, because I belong to that sector now, so my knowledge is quite limited to that. Doctors, therapists are using artificial intelligence as their co-pilots. Someone who can, AI is taking notes for them. AI is telling them the recommendations to give to the patients. AI is telling them what appointment can be done when. AI is telling them that if a patient is coming to them, does that patient really need them or not? All of those things, and which is saving a lot of time. But of course, there is a lot of work to be done there. In the end, all I want to tell you guys is, I don't know how many of you are going to pursue your careers next and are looking to work somewhere. Irrespective of wherever you go, whichever role you take, HR, marketing, IT, sales, technology is not going to leave you. It's the time to be the jack of all trades, not the master of one. You need to be the jack of all trades. And if you're thinking that without understanding technology, things can go by, unfortunately, no. We don't say that it's replacing humans absolutely, but the knowledge of it can help you to do your work more efficiently. I'll conclude with that. Thank you so much and all the best for your careers. Don't forget to take care of your minds. I think you've distributed something. And don't shy away from taking support. We all need it. Thank you so much.